Hello BookTube, this is the first of three Unhauled videos I'll be making this week. I've been thinking about weeding my collection for the last few months, and I think I'm going to go ahead and film the Unhauled videos and put them up, and then when they are finally donated to a local Friends of the Library organization, then I will announce it in like a weekly reads or the video saying, "Yay! I finally donated these books." Um, so what I'm going to do is now these I've already listed in an unhaul list, but the others I'll need to go ahead and add them to that list, and I'm going to uh, alphabetize it so that way it'll be easier when I knock them out of my library catalog. But anyway, let's get going. So for box number one, first up is An Accident of Stars by Foz Meadows. This is a portal fantasy that I picked up 7, 8 years, about 6 years ago, I think. And I tried a chapter tag with this and did not like it, so it's going. Next up is, now this box has some a mix of everything. The next two will probably mostly be fantasy because I do want to focus a bit more on this bookcase behind me. But I might add a few other things too, depending. Anyway, but the next book is After the Sun by Jonas Eika. This book was longlisted for the Republic of Consciousness Prize and the Booker International last year. And during that time, I had a strong desire to follow along with literary prizes, which was a mistake. I did not care for this book at all. So it's being unhauled. An earlier example of me sort of wanting to get involved in literary prizes is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. This was up for the Booker in 2020, and Kieran of Katie Books' boostering of this book really got me to want to pick it up, but I've tried it 2 or 3 times and I haven't gotten into it, so it needs to go. This next book, it was part of my America 20 project. It was a project in 2020 in which I tried to make myself love literary fiction by reading 20 works of American literary fiction. This particular one is Alamo House by Sarah Bird. I picked this up largely because it is set in Austin, and I've tried it, I think, 3 times, and I haven't made much success, so I'm sending it on its way. Maybe somebody else will enjoy it far more than I do. Well, I didn't enjoy it at all, so you get the idea. Next up is Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. This is an early mystery novel about a woman who there's a mystery about. I really do not like this book. I picked it up for a class on Victorian literature, and I didn't like it. So, but I've had it for some odd reason for 15 years since then. So it's well past time I send this on its way. Next is The Last Romeo by Justin Myers. This is, I think, a gay romance novel about a young man who, or youngish man, who is finding it difficult to date in real life, so he decides to go online and blog about it, and it's not really, it did nothing for me. And then The Lesser Bohemians by Eimear McBride. A few years ago, Steve Donahue and Olive of a Book Olive did a kind of a tag where a person would list about 10 books, and the next person would sort of incorporate one of those 10 books and then add 10 of their own or something like that. And I think Steve Donahue mentioned this book in that tag and highly praised it. And so I wanted to give it a try, and I did not get on with it. I've tried it, I think, 3 times, and it hasn't worked any time. So it's time for this book to go. Returning to my America 20 project, this is Crooked Little Heart by Anne Lamott, which I have tried, I think 3 times to read, and I've bailed each time. It's about a young woman who is involved in tennis. Yeah. And The Answers by Catherine Lacey. It's about a young woman who gets involved with a wealthier man, and it's a real weird, complicated thing, and the writing stinks. So, yeah. I will not be trying that for a second time. Next is a double. This is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is one of her most famous novels. But I have it in an omnibus edition, so I don't need this copy or this double. This is one of the few nonfiction books I'll be getting rid of. The Art of Language Invention by David J. Peterson. I picked this up in the hopes that it would help me create artificial languages in my fantasy writing, but that's not really what this book is about. It's really more about the sort of the practice of language invention rather than how to do it. And every time I've tried to read it, it's giving me a bloody headache. Next is Anatomy of Criticism by Northrup Frye. This is a classic of literary theory, although not much practice anymore. It's really gone by the wayside. I picked this up when I was in San Francisco, and yeah, I'm not really that into literary theory anymore, so might as well get rid of it. Back to my America 20 project. This is Shadow Play by Charles Baxter. This is a novel about a man who basically just lives his life. It's okay. It just, there came a point where there's a scene that really pissed me off, and I bailed on it, and I have no intention of going back to it. This is one of those cases where I got so far into the book that I don't think I'll be coming back to it. So it can go. And then back to book prizes from last year. This is Somebody Loves You by Mona Arshi. This was up for the Republic of Consciousness Prize. It was longlisted, and I've tried it twice, and it's not very good. So, yeah. Okay, let's go over here. So back to America 20. This is Blue Angel by Francine Prose. This is a satire set in a small liberal arts college about a creative writing professor who may or may not have a thing for one of his students. Although said student, the most talented of the class, does accuse him of sexual harassment. I've tried it twice. I've gotten pretty far, and I really don't like it. So, as much as I have, this is one of 2 books that I've wanted to read for like 20 years. And yeah, maybe had I read it when it had first came out, I might have a different opinion on it. But I really did not like this book at all. Next is a double, Nicholas and Alexandra by Robert K. Maasie. So, as I've said several times, I ordered a copy of this book the day or 2 days. I think it was the day before my birthday, because I do have a habit of ordering books from the Libris on a Friday. I don't know why. So I think it might have been the day before, but it could have been that Thursday. So, yeah. So I'd ordered it a day or two before my birthday. And then I completely forgot about it because on my birthday, one of my aunts took me to Barnes & Noble, where I ended up picking up a newer copy of Nicholas and Alexandra, which is the copy I'm going to keep. So this is a double, and I can go ahead and send it on its way, hopefully to a good home. Next is a middle grade fantasy, The Golem's Eye by Jonathan Stroud. It's book 2 of the Bartimaeus trilogy. So there was a point a few years ago when I really wanted to collect fantasy and science fiction and really focus a lot on not only books that I really liked, but also books that I thought would be future classics. But that desire quickly sort of faded, and I think also my defense with this book, it was free. But I also don't know why I picked it up, because I did dip into the first book and didn't like it, so I don't know. Yeah. Some of my decisions are questionable. Okay, let's see about finishing off this tower. And then I think I'll put them back. So next up is an omnibus edition of 5 Ian Fleming novels. This is 5 complete novels by Ian Fleming, so it's 5 James Bond novels that include Diamonds Are Forever, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Casino Royale, and Live and Let Die. So I have a complicated history with James Bond. I love the movies, and for brief moments, I've rather enjoyed the books, particularly when I was a teen. I read Moonraker, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, and a few others. And then a few years ago, probably closer to 10, I picked this dish collection up and then read like Casino Royale, Live and Let Die, and tried to get to the others. And that's largely why I picked this up, because I did want to read the Bond novels at that time, but I haven't really actually read them. And when I tried to read From Russia with Love for Alaska or August, it didn't work. So I think it's time I just go ahead and send this on its way, hopefully to a better home. Next is Me by Elton John. I picked this up for the 2020 BookTube Prize. It's Elton John's autobiography. It's really good. It was one of my favorites from the 2020 BookTube Prize, but I haven't gone back to it, and I don't think I ever will, so I might as well send it on to a new home. That's also true of The Yellow House by Sarah M. Broom, which was one of my favorites, again, from the 2020 BookTube Prize, but I haven't read it since then, and I don't think I ever will, so hopefully it goes to a new home. Next is Mediocre by Ijeoma Oluo. This is one of the books that I read for the 2021 BookTube Prize, and I really don't like this book, so it's well past time I send it to a new home. And then finally, Wonderland by Stacy D'Erasmo. This is one of the few books in my America 20 project that I managed to actually read, although it took me about 3 attempts. This was one of the few books that I read for my Bell Redemption December last year that was actually successful. That wasn't nonfiction, but anyway, I think it was actually the only fiction that was successful. The rest were all Bell Redemption rejections, and the only other 2 were works of history. But anyway, so this is about a musician who's trying to make a comeback. It's okay, but I'm not going to reread it, and I have no real reason to keep it, so hopefully it will go to a new home. Now let's go do some mass market paperbacks that are between the 2 large towers. First up is Cody by Keith Hale. This is a gay novel that I think Sean the Book Maniac recommended that I did not care for. And I think... Okay. Next up are some more doubles. First up is Swords Against Death by Fritz Leiber. I also have A Swords in the Mist by Fritz Leiber. I have these 2 as well as a few others in an omnibus edition, so I don't really have a reason to keep the doubles. And I also have a double, this is a parallel in-house by the Christie, which I have in the same omnibus edition that I have, and then there were none, so I don't need this. And since I'm getting rid of James Bond, I might as well also get rid of Thunderball and Dr. No, because I don't think I'm going to revisit them. And also Famous American Plays of the 1960s, which I dipped into for my, I think it was my Reading America project. And like none of them did anything for me, so I'm going to send them on their way too. Now, the next batch of books. Back to America 20. I guess I could just, yeah. The Surrendered by Chang-rae Lee. I did not get very far in this book, and I don't think I'm going to revisit it. The same is true of The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri, although I did try this twice and did not get on with it either time, so send that on its way. And, well, not part of my America 20, but yeah, this is The Lot by Bryan Washington, which I have tried twice and did not get on with at all, so sending it on its way. So, nearing the wrap-up point. Next is Here's a Game We Could Play by Jenny Bittner. This is a book that was out from Eika that was distributed through the University of Cincinnati and the University of Chicago Press. I picked this up largely because I have an interest in fiction published by university presses. This book really did nothing for me. There's some evocative language, but no. Next is Visions of War by David D. Perlmutter. This is a work of visual scholarship that I read for a class, my very first college class, and I haven't returned to it in like 20 years, so it's well past time I send it on its way. Maybe somebody will like it more than I did. And then there's What Belongs to You by Garth Greenwell. This is book one of basically the same story that Garth Greenwell can never write, apparently. I have tried it two or three times, and no, just no. Well, balls. I'll be right there. Uh, Sorry about that. I will try to remember to leave a message note to about 20 to 22 minutes. I had a what happened was I just got a book in from UPS, and it was supposed to come in yesterday, but the driver did not deliver it. I'm assuming either the driver did not know exactly how to deliver it because my apartment is weird, or there's maybe somebody lurking around or something. I don't know, but it wasn't delivered. So I've been kind of on a bit of a tear about whether or not it was going to come today, but it just came in, so I went and picked it up and opened it. So it's waiting to get logged into my catalog, and then I'll show you on when I do my April book haul what the book was. Although it was a new release, so you probably guess what it was. But anyway, so sorry about that. But I'm not going to refilm this because it was already 20 minutes in, so I'm not going to redo it. So I'll just let you know to skip about 20 to about 22 minutes is when I came back. But anyway, so let's finish this off. Next is a life drawing by Michael Grumley. I think this might have been another book recommended by Sean the Book Maniac that I did not get on with at all. And then there is The Lager Queen of Minnesota by J. Ryan Stradal. I picked this up because it reminded me of American Pop by, I'm blanking, Snowden Wright. And that book was on Steve Donahue's best debuts of 2019, I think. And I didn't get on with it. And I didn't get on with this one either. So, yeah. Even though it took me forever to finally get around to I really shouldn't say reading it because I bailed on it, but you just naturally say reading, even though I mean bail. But anyway, so I didn't get on with this. It's about two feuding sisters and a beer fortune. And now the last two, I'm pretty sure these are the last two, are very similar to the Golem's Eye. And in this case, I should have known better because I actually paid for these two. And they are the first two Harry Potter books. This is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Both, of course, by J.K. Rowling. So, about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit sooner than that, but or more recently than that, but roughly about 10 to 7 years ago, I got it in my head that I wanted to dedicate my library to science fiction and fantasy. And that meant collecting books that I thought would be future classics in the genre. Even though, as Steve says, science fiction doesn't, at least on the publishing end, doesn't really respect the classics. I think the fandom does respect the classics far more than the publishers do. But anyway, so I picked these two up from one of my favorite used bookstores, and I should have known better. I absolutely should have known better. I tried the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone if you're elsewhere, and I absolutely loathe that what I read of that first chapter. I did not make it far. It's just the language, the tone I really cannot stand it. And I should have known better because I did pick up Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire about 20 years ago when I was a member of the Science Fiction Book Club. And I didn't get on with that book. So why pick these two up? Now, admittedly, if I were 5 to 10 years younger, if I were entering into the age range that these books are meant for when they first came out, or maybe even later, it might be different. These might be cherished childhood memories, but they're not. I came at them way too late in my reading life, and they basically have aspects of writing that I really cannot stand. And that is condescending narrators. So, well past time I send these two on their way. Hopefully they will find a loving home. Which, yeah, anyway, maybe they will, maybe they won't. Given much of the controversy about J.K. Rowling the last few years. But anyway, BookTube, that was the first of the 3 Unhauled videos I'll be making this week. I'm going to go ahead and put these in the box and then go ahead and upload this video and probably list the books for the second box, and then maybe go ahead and move this box into the living room. Anyway, BookTube, but until I see you tomorrow with box 2 and maybe a tag video or not, have a great afternoon and stay safe.